Welcome to Restaurant Deal Making Exposed, the only show that equips you with everything you need to know about restaurant transactions. In this show, we tell you all about how to make the sale or purchase of your restaurant not just possible, but successful. Now here are your hosts, ex-restaurateurs and seasoned brokers, Patrick Toda and Andy Mirabel.
Okay, welcome back to Restaurant Deal Making Exposed. This is our 50th episode. We're very excited to reach this milestone. This is a 50th episode recap. We are going to share our top 3 lists. So Patrick and myself, our top 3 favorite episodes and why. So let me dive in here. Let's pop the champagne. It's our 50th episode. Just kidding, it's too early for that. It's hard to believe we've already had 50 episodes and conversations with each other and with special guests, all related to our amazing and niche industry, restaurant brokerage. We have dug into the mechanics of the restaurant and bar business, from deal structuring, leases, and licensing, to financials, lenders, legalities, risk, and so much in between. Along the way, we have had the honor of interviewing industry experts, chefs, restaurateurs, buyers, and sellers. For this milestone episode, we are taking a look back and each sharing our top 3 most impactful or memorable episodes. These are topics and conversations that really stuck with us, and more importantly, how we may have delivered the most value to our listeners. Whether you have listened to us from the beginning or are just learning about us now, Patrick and I would like to extend a very heartfelt thankful to you all and for listening through our 50th episode. Can you believe we got to 50, Patrick? I thought we would fizzle by episode 25. I don't know.
Congratulations. You finally caught up to me. You're 50 now.
Exactly. So, but I mean, that said though, 50 episodes, when we said it over the past few weeks and I was like 50, that's a big number. So it's pretty exciting. We've sure been through a lot and had a lot of conversations. I think we've really got our footing under us on this podcast and we're really excited to do the next 50.
Absolutely. I can't believe we've already hit 50 episodes and I've had so much fun here talking with different guests and talking with you. And I can't wait to see what happens here in the next 50.
Great. All right. So we're doing top 3 today. We really want to remind our listeners which were, for example, what are Patrick's top 3 episodes and why? And maybe they'll get a chance to kind of go back and look through our list of 50 episodes and listen to these impactful episodes again, or for the first time. So why don't you start us off, Patrick? What's one in your top 3?
Yeah, let's start off with what I think is extremely important, whether it's deal making or anything in life, is when to walk away. I think this is a lesson that I learned at a young age and I'm still practicing every day. But in the restaurant industry, I think it's extremely important, whether it's walking away from a deal before you ever do it, or even what I see a lot of my clients do is they're in a really bad situation with their restaurant and they can't make the decision to pull the plug and sell or, do what they need to do to stop the bleeding. I think walking away is extremely important in the restaurant industry, especially now. There's just so many, challenges that if you're not, if you're losing money monthly or, if you get yourself involved in the wrong deal, I think it can be very costly.
Totally. And remind our listeners which episode number and title that is.
Wow. Putting me on the spot there.
I am.
The name of it is When to Walk Away from a Deal.
That was episode 47, When to Walk Away. Sounds like a punk rock song.
Maybe that's what we need to do next, is start our Restaurant Deal Making Exposed band.
There we go. All right, I'm going to give you one of my top 3 here. I really, really loved episode 25, Dishing It Out with the food critic, Lauren Saria. I just thought that was a fantastic episode and she was a fantastic guest. It's great to talk to all the different people we have on, but she had such a lovely demeanor. She was so grounded and was really put a highlight on the difference between being a food editor or writer and a food critic. And she highlighted some really interesting points on the lens she looks through as a food editor or food writer. And it just really resonated with me as a non-threatening sort of perspective. And I thought she really highlighted some fun experiences and the growth of her job, because she's the food editor for San Francisco Standard. And I think that is one of the best publications in the Bay Area to really get an authentic and unique perspective on dining experiences, new restaurants, and any other twists going on in the industry.
Yeah, I agree. I really enjoyed that episode as well. She has such a unique perspective on the dining scene in San Francisco, which we know very much about. And to hear her perspective. And then at the time, I think we were talking a little bit about like the influencers and and all of that. And it was really kind of a hot moment with a few chefs in the city. And just to hear what she had to say, I thought it was really good chat on our podcast here.
Absolutely. She had really real stories behind restaurants and chefs, and also just, again, going back to it, her authenticity as a food journalist versus being a food critic, which can be rather harsh.
And I have to say, I follow her on Instagram, and she sure looks like she's having a really fun time on her job.
She sure does. I know. Gosh, I'm envious. All right. Let's dive into your number 2, Patrick.
Number 2. Wow. Oh my God. I don't know. Let's see here. Number 2 would be the right time to sell. Some of the things that we talked about in that episode was, having your business ready to sell at any moment, right? Like having your financials ready, always updated. I mean, not only does that help you sell, but it also helps you manage your business. And so, I think a lot of people struggle with figuring out when they should sell, and they kind of go on the roller coaster of like up and down, like, should I not? And they're so emotionally attached to it. And I think at some point you have to kind of plan and be strategic and make sure your business is ready to sell, because that is your kind of, what you're going to make out of that thing that you put a lot of effort into and a lot of heart into. And, so you want to capture as much as possible on that sell.
I recall from episode 44, The Right Time to Sell, that you pointed out something, and I don't want to, I'm paraphrasing a bit here, but I remember you saying something along the lines of sell the business when the business is ready to sell, not when you're ready to sell. The business will speak for itself, essentially, when it's performing well, revenue is strong, profits are there. That's the time to sell your business.
Yeah.
You don't want to wait for the backside of the slope, the downhill, because, for most businesses, there is a downhill at some point. There's a peak. So timing it right is great. And I think you worded it well in that episode that, sometimes we sell for personal reasons, and some of those we can control, some of those we can't. But a lot of people wait too long to sell.
They do. And I mean, I think I would have loved to have sold my business about 1 year earlier. There was the Super Bowl happened in San Francisco. It was right in my backyard or my front yard. We had an amazing year. San Francisco revenue, I think, came down just after that in 2017 and 18. I mean, I ended up selling at the end of 2017, so I wasn't too far off. But I think if I would have actually done the sale 1 year earlier, I would have made a little bit more money. And so, hindsight is 2020, and you're never going to get everything right.
No, you're not. And we're not here to put that on anybody as a business owner. There's a lot of hard decisions. I remember my right time to sell was forced on me, and I had to sell because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think so many thousands of other business owners were in the same boat. And, I had postured and built my business up, and then the carpet just gets pulled out from under you. But I'll be honest, as much as that pained me at the time to sell at a very low price and essentially have to sell off my liquor license at a very low price, it pushed me over a ledge to be more involved in this job that I have now as a restaurant broker. And I've learned so much from that situation that I can share with my clients now. And to, a lot of times clients ask, well, when should we sell? How much lead time do we need to sell? So these conversations, I feel like I can speak real world, data and conversations with my clients on this that are helpful to them.
Yeah. And that's, if I had waited a couple more years and the pandemic happened, it would have been a complete disaster for me. So, in some ways, maybe I didn't mess the whole thing up.
Yeah, totally. Totally. All right, so I got number 2 on my own list here. I got a twofer here.
A twofer.
This is episode 7 and episode 29, Cook the Books with Don Angle, the restaurant accountant extraordinaire.
I'm going to allow you to have that twofer there.
Okay, got it. Don Angle's been on twice. This is Angle Accounting. He is a bookkeeper, accountant, restaurant specialist. And I've known him for 2 decades. I've worked with him for over 2 decades. He is fantastic because why? He's a straight shooter. He stays in a lane of restaurant and related businesses. So he understands the nuances of the different kinds of books that people come to him with. And then he cleans them up and makes them way more legible, way more attractive, clean. And he's the type of bookkeeper that helps us or a seller facilitate setting their business up to sell with clean books. So he's a win.
Yeah. I mean, and with the tax deadline coming tomorrow, this is very timely to bring that up. But I was just having a thought of like some old accounting and bookkeepers throughout my restaurant days. And I was just remembering a few really, really bad examples of accountants and bookkeepers and how important it is to have the right person from the very get-go, because when a bookkeeper or an accountant like messes up your books, it's not something you can clean up like overnight. I think you're spot on with those 2 episodes. If anybody can, is going to get into the restaurant industry or is in the restaurant industry, I'm sure they know about this, but having the right person is essential. It's almost like a partner. Yeah.
It is. One thing he brought up that's funny too, and this is not an insult in any way, nor did he mean it like that, but restaurant folks are unique folks. Chefs, restaurateurs, bar owners, we're kind of our own breed. And so, we want to be running a business. We want to be out there doing the day-to-day and supporting our customer base and so on. So sometimes the books, the numbers aren't our strong suit. And Don pointed that out, that he really likes to be behind the scenes to help people make informed, practical decisions for their books. And he's a straight shooter. He's not going to let you do something that's going to be to your detriment. So there we go. That's my shout out to Don Engel.
That's a good twofer right there. All right. I guess I'm next here. I'm going to go with the top 5 financial mistakes of new restaurant owners.
The top 5 financial mistakes of restaurant owners.
I just
All right.
wanted another chance to use the word prime cost, Andy.
I had to hear it. I knew it would come up on our 50th.
I know if we were partners in the restaurant industry, I know you're the visionary person who'd be out in the front and who cares about prime cost? I just want
to, Might be true.
Who cares about labor?
Yes.
Yeah, I think, just listening to that episode, I think it's extremely helpful for our listeners because you are talking about prime costs. And if anybody is not understanding where their prime costs are, if it's, close to 80% between cost of goods and labor, you're probably not doing very well. And I think giving people kind of a checklist of the things that they need to be accountable for in their restaurant or their business in general, I think is extremely important.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better. You are correct. I'm just going to let you have all that because you're the guy in the back worrying about prime costs when I'm in front smoozing. You know what I mean? Yeah. That one's going to sting for a little bit, Patrick. Yeah. All right. No, I love that one. All right. My last pick is literally something I feel like we say almost every episode. And so here it is. Episode 38, leave it to the pros. Okay. This is a common theme throughout our podcast. And it is a theme I could have learned from in my 20s, late 20s, and early 30s when I was out opening my restaurant or restaurants and so on. Episode 38, leave it to the pros. Why every restaurant needs a specialist attorney and CPA or a bookkeeper. There we go. It kind of says it all in the title, right? These are common sense reasons why using professionals is vital. It saves you time. It saves you money. It lessens your risk and exposure in a lot of areas and overall stress in the long term. Too many people think from the onset, I don't think I need it, or I don't want to spend that money. It doesn't work like that. It's going to be a good investment if you pick the right professional. Patrick and I are professionals in our own lane, and we want to reiterate that too. So using a restaurant broker is oftentimes very, very beneficial for folks. But this episode is a win. I love this. I love this episode.
Yeah. And I want to point out, ChatGPT is not a professional.
Yes. I do want to thank ChatGPT because I've had clients say that my name came up on it.
Yeah. I had a couple clients say the same. They said, it told me to call you. I'm like, really?
Yes.
It did that?
I wish that happened in the dating world for me, but it doesn't, does it? Yeah. It's like, stay away from that guy. But you're right. We've just totally commented on that. Like when we get these lists from people, like, here's 50 questions about the restaurant that, I need to know now. And we're like, you've just generated that from AI.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm sure one day it's going to be much better, but right now it does help with some initial ideas of things that you may like red flags on a lease, but it is not, you need to have an attorney. You need to have a professional do the right job for you. It's not replaced humans yet.
Well said. Well said. So going back here, I just want to recap a little bit here because Mr. Patrick and his numbers and titles, we want to make sure that everyone knows what's happening. Patrick's top 3, episode 47, when to walk away from a restaurant deal. That was a winner. That was such a good episode too. Patrick also picked episode 44, the right time to sell. And last pick on Patrick's side was episode 39, the top financial mistakes of new restaurant owners. I think a more fun episode that, you can just sit back and chill or drive to would be episode 25, dishing it out with food critic Lauren Saria. My twofer was episode 7 and 29, Cook the Books with Don Engel. You can learn a lot from those episodes. And my last one was episode 38, Leave It to the Pros. And you know why, because I don't need to repeat it again. Why to leave it to the pros.
Andy, I'm going to give you a chance to get in another episode that I know you want to get in there. A runner-up. Come on, give me one more
a runner-up?
Yeah. I mean, come on.
I mean, one I did really like was, well, let's look back. What was Gemma on? I mean, I loved learning about the ABC alcoholic beverage control stuff with Gemma Lester. She really highlights a lot of the challenges, nuances of that process. And although you and I do this on a very regular basis, I don't think a lot of folks know how detailed, how invasive the applications for ABC applications and license transfers are. So that's an informative one. What about you, Patrick? Come on, I wasn't asking you a different question, but throw in a runner-up.
I'm going to go with the fun episode of Tanya at Outside Lands.
Oh, right on.
That was a pretty cool episode, and I think she does a great job there. And wow, if I was a kid and they said I could do that as a job, I'd be like, wow, that's exciting. I didn't know that was an option, So
that's well said. I have some insider information on the new lineups and things going on this year. We might have to ask her back because she has some fun new stuff going on.
Cool.
Yeah. Sounds good. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank our listeners. I mean, 50 episodes is a big deal for us. We really enjoy this now. We've really got our groove and we're looking forward to the next 50. I want to thank Patrick. I wouldn't like to do this with anybody else. So thanks for being my yin to my yang or Laurel to my Hardy. I don't know, Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you. Until next time.
If you enjoyed today's show and don't want to worry about missing an episode, you can follow the show wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you found today's episode interesting or useful, please share it with someone you think would benefit and consider leaving a rating and review.
Reviews help restaurant owners or buyers just like you discover this podcast and benefit from the important topics covered in the episodes. Your opinion matters to us as a listener, so feel free to leave topic suggestions and feedback for us, as we will use these to tailor the episodes to you and help you get the most out of listening.
Thank you all for listening to this week's episode of Restaurant Deal Making Exposed. If you're considering selling your business and would like a free consultation, reach out to Patrick and Andy at therestaurantsalesbroker.com or visit www.therestaurantsalesbroker.com to learn more.